SK, we were saying what, from $70 a barrel 2 weeks ago, Brent crude trading, what, it was at 83 earlier in the day, more than $83 a barrel.
Yeah, and it slightly eased on Monday, but it has now come back up. Brent crude is up over 6% from Monday's close to around $83 a barrel. Now that's nearly 30% higher than last Thursday. The US's WTI trading at around $76 a barrel. Now here in France, some people have been rushing to fill up their tanks, fearing a price hike at the pump, prompting the economy minister to say that there's absolutely no risk to supply in the short term. Some countries have ample reserves of oil, but if the closure of the waterway, the Strait of Hormuz, continues for a long time, then if crude prices go up above $100 a barrel, for example, there could be serious consequences. European natural gas prices, meanwhile, are also higher after surging as much as 50% at one point on Monday following attacks on Qatari LNG facilities. The front-month Dutch TTF closed $52 per megawatt hour on Tuesday, roughly doubling from early January. Now, Iran's decision to shut down the Strait of Hormuz is a double-edged sword. It may prompt US allies in the region to press for a quick end to hostilities, but it can also backfire spectacularly as Iran's own oil can't make its way to its main client, China. The war comes as Iran's economy has already been in a deep crisis caused by years of sanctions and chronic mismanagement. January's deadly protests came amid soaring inflation, energy shortages, and a currency collapse. Now, for more, let's bring in Dr. Mahdi Ghodsi, economist at the Vienna Institute for International Economic Studies. Thank you so much for joining us, Mahdi. Now, isn't Iran shooting its own foot by closing the Strait of Hormuz? I mean, its economy was already creaking under years of sanctions, and people can't afford a decent living.
Hello, thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. Actually, yes, Iran's economy has been modeling through a serious economic crisis in the past 15 years, despite sanctions and mismanagement. Let's say in the past 15 years, Iran's GDP growth has been hovering around 0.5%. So it was a heavy stagnation, and Iran was under sanctions, so it could not export oil, it could not bring investment to the country. So because of all of these issues, the private sector was shrinking and public sector was encroaching on the private sector. So the issue is that because of a huge public economy, Iran could not sustain its budget. Actually, the government was not able to sustain its budget, so inflation was high. So since a few months ago that EU has managed to trigger the snapback mechanism, Iran is not able to export a lot into the EU since 2 months ago that the Navy presence in the Oman Sea is there. Iran is not able to export oil even to India. So it's a double-edged sword to block the Strait of Hormuz because a huge amount of Iranian trade goes through the Strait of Hormuz.
And the state of economy is really bad on the ground, isn't it? I mean, we saw many people celebrating after the fall of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Is a bottom-up, people-led revolution then on the horizon, do you think?
Yes, the revolution is ongoing. Actually, we observe a revolutionary process since a decade ago, since 2009 movement protest. And this is actually fueling the revolutionary process in Iran, and Iranians would like a change. So they have tried so hard in the past few months, few years to go to the streets to change the regime. But the regime in Iran is so suppressive, is so brutal that killed thousands of them in the past 15 years, maybe more than tens of thousands of them on the streets. So they want to change, and that's why they needed some support from the US power, the world powers. And that's the first time that the US government is supporting them and showing support. And that's the first time that European allies like Germany also want a regime change.
In that sense, how long can Iran and its current leaders hold out if this war drags on?
In terms of military, it could take as long as it can, because Iran is a very vast country, 4 times the size of Iraq's area, 4 times the population of Iraq. So it's a very vast country. If, as Mr. Trump also mentioned, it could take few additional weeks, 4 or 5 weeks to continue the strikes, to completely paralyze the regimes a military and suppressive apparatus, and then there could be a chance for the Iranian to go to the streets. But it's not in a condition to sustain economically. So economically, one can say that because Iran is not able to sell oil, to export anything. Actually, at the moment, the budget is not sustainable. They don't have enough finance to support their military expenditure. So that's why they need to print more money. That's why they need to borrow more from the central bank. And that pushes up prices more tremendously because they cannot import products. The imported prices should also increase, and that pushes up inflation even further. So I imagine that some scenarios of much, much higher hyperinflation, above 100%, is going to happen very quickly. And the regime has shown that it is able to have a resilient economy in the sense that it can survive despite economic mismanagement and economic downturns. It can kill its own citizens. So survival is there. So there needs to be an element from the outside to lead an end to this surviving regime.
We've also been very quickly hearing about cryptocurrencies and the outflow of its digital assets from Iran in the wake of the weekend strikes. Iran has a huge crypto ecosystem, hasn't it, worth $10 billion with 12 million users. Can you just very quickly explain to us why this is so and if it's also helping the regime stay afloat in this current context?
It's because Iran is under sanctions. Actually, Iran is cut from the SWIFT transactions, and Iranians themselves cannot have access to foreign markets. Like if they want to purchase anything, if they want to get connected to YouTube, pay something online, they don't have any chance. So Iranian citizens, they are trying to somehow circumvent this problem by using cryptocurrencies and wallet. Iran itself, the regime itself, somehow regulated the cryptocurrency by allowing the crypto mining in 2019. So since then, there are many public and semi-public companies, those that are also linked to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, that they are mining with much low prices of energy because Iran is subsidizing its own petroleum. Iran is subsidizing its energy. So it's very cheap. It's mining one Bitcoin is around $1,000 to $1,500. So imagine that they have been mining tremendously in the past 5-6 years. They have a huge cryptocurrency ecosystem, as you also mentioned, in order to circumvent sanctions, in order to bypass sanctions. And it's part of their barter trading system to circumvent the blockage of SWIFT transactions. So it's not only for the regime itself, but also for its citizens in order to be able to get connected to the financial transactions out of Iran.